Good morning and good afternoon and actually good evening to our friends who are joining us all across Canada and all the way across the ocean and into Nigeria, as well as all those who are joining us from YouTube on the live stream that's happening there. My name is Terry Godoltz and I'm with the Center for Global Education, and I could not be more thrilled to come together today with our friends from Cengage and our friends from the Canadian Commission for UNESCO to bring young people and maybe a couple people who aren't so young at heart though, that's for sure, young people across the country and around the world together to share some of the amazing work that they're doing and to hear from some of the senators that we have in Canada and to have a little bit of a conversation about how we can go beyond just sitting back and self-isolating, which is what we need to do. And as countries around the world continue to open up and deal with the crisis they have, we have young people who aren't just sitting back in their communities, in their homes, and letting the crisis pass them by, but rather they are engaging in safe and constructive ways to help build their homes, to help build their communities, to help build their nations, and to make the future a little brighter. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're absolutely thrilled to have everybody here. Again, the title for today's conference is called Celebrate Citizenship. Maybe we'll throw up that front slide one more time because although yes, you are participating and watching via YouTube, we know the amazing things that are going on in Canada are not just restricted to these young people who we're going to hear today. Rather, we have young people all around the world who are doing incredible works to help build their communities. So you'll see on this front slide a hashtag, a Twitter hashtag called hashtag Power of Youth. And so we would love for you to share use that hashtag and tell us a little bit about the work that you are doing. So in addition to the young people who are here, and in addition to our friends at Cengage and the Canadian Commission for UNESCO, we have two amazing senators who we're going to meet in detail a little bit later on. But we have Senator Marilou McPhedran, who's an independent senator from Manitoba, representing Manitoba. And then we have Senator David Wells, who is a conservative senator from Newfoundland and Labrador. And they're going to give our young people engage in a conversation about some of the work that's going on in their communities and some of the work that's going on in the young people's communities. So without any further ado, let's meet some of these young people. And we're going to start across Canada, then we are going to jump across the oceans and hear from some of our friends in Nigeria. But I'd like to start with our friends in Canada who are joining us in Nova Scotia. Hello, Nova Scotia.
Hi.
Hello, how are you doing, Candace? Cadence, sorry. Oh, you're muted there in Nova Scotia. How is everything going in Nova Scotia?
It's going okay, I guess.
Okay, well, good. Well, we're glad that you're here with us today. Let's hop across now and say hello to our friends who are joining us in New Brunswick. Hello, New Brunswick.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. That's right. You see, I'm in Alberta, so it's actually still morning for me. But you're a solid hour into the afternoon over there. So welcome to our friends in New Brunswick. Let's continue to go across, and we're going to say hello now to our friends who are joining us in Ottawa. Hello, friends from Ashbury College.
Hi, everyone.
Great. Welcome, Ottawa. It's great to have you here. And let's say hello to our friends. We actually have a couple of sites that are in Alberta that are going to join us today. So we'll say hello first to our friends from West Island College. Hello, West Island College.
Hello.
Hello, yeah, cottage. I mean, that'd be a nice place to be in a day like today, right? But it's a school day, so you're all still in school, just virtually speaking. So welcome, West Island. It's great to have you here. And to our friends at Robert Thirsk. Hello, Robert Thirsk, also in Calgary. Hello. Excellent. Welcome, Robert Thirsk. It's great to have you here. We share the same province and time zone, so I can say good morning to you as well. Let's make our way a little bit further now to the west, all the way out to the coast, and our friends in Burnaby. Hello from Burnaby. Hello to Burnaby South Secondary.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. That's right. Yeah, you guys are now. This is a little bit early. It's 9 o'clock. Normally, you might already be in school, but I do know that some because I have a couple of teenagers. 9 o'clock in the new COVID calendar is it seems to it's a little bit earlier on the side. So welcome, good job. It's great to have you here. Now, people who are not joining us early in their day, but actually quite late in their evening, are our friends who are joining us from Nigeria. So, hello, Nigeria. All right. So, Nigeria, we're not hearing you. We're going to give you one more chance to unmute your microphone and say hello. Okay. Oh, unfortunate. Okay, so what I'll get you to do, because we can't hear you, I'm gonna get you to say hello in the chat window, and then we're gonna try to work out the technology in the background so that we can have you coming through nice and clearly there. So once again, now what we're going to do is for all of our friends who are joining us on YouTube, there is a chat feature that's there. We'd love for you to say hello. So whether you're going to tweet it out or just say hello on the chat, we'd love to have you participate and share the great work that you're doing there. Now, I mentioned very briefly at the beginning that we have two special guests who are joining us today. They are members of the Canadian Senate, and we will continue with our East to West theme. And we have joining us here Senator David Wells, who is affiliated with the Conservative Party, appointed to the Senate in 2013, representing Newfoundland and Labrador. He is the chair of the Subcommittee of Internal Economy, Budgets and Administration, as well as numerous other committees, being involved as well as a member on numerous other committees, from submitting the highest peaks in Africa, South America, and Europe, to being the Deputy CEO of the Canada Newfoundland Labrador Offshore Petroleum Board. Senator Wells has and continues to help build Canada, Canadian communities in which he is based. So hello, Senator Wells. Welcome.
Well, thanks very much. It's great to be back again, Terry.
Yes. So this is not the first time Senator Wells has joined us. So he joined us, who is with now a former senator, Senator Grant Mitchell.
That's right.
But Senator, are you in Ottawa, or are you back? Or are you out east?
So this is not a fake background. This is my office. So I flew into Ottawa last week. I spent the last 2 months in my home province of Newfoundland and Labrador. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that I was a result of COVID. Normally, I travel back and forth maybe every week or every 2 weeks, and I try to get back to my province and my family for weekends when I can, and sometimes often during the summer and break weeks. So I arrived in Ottawa. I had a lot of paperwork on my desk that I had to get through. And of course, I wanted to be here for this terrific presentation that you've put on again.
Excellent. Well, Senator Wells, we are thrilled to have you join us again. We are happy to have you join us at any time, and we're looking forward to having you engage with young people across Canada in the work that they're doing and what's happening in your community as well. The second senator who we have, and this is the first time we've had the privilege, but not the last time, of connecting and working with Senator Marilou McPhedran, born and raised in rural Manitoba. Senator McPhedran is an independent senator from Manitoba. She is a lawyer, professor, mother, feminist, a member of the Order of Canada, and while doing all of that, has a passion for young people and empowering them all across Canada. Senator McPhedran was appointed to the Canadian Senate by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in 2016. And friends, let me tell you, besides the work that she is doing in the Senate, we had a great conversation about the work that she is doing empowering young people through the Canadian Council for Young Feminists, and work around many and bringing and highlighting the vote, but yes, eventually the vote, but the voice of young people, and bringing that to the table and making sure that the Senate and all of Canada is aware and is and moving towards a progressive engagement of young people in Canada. So Senator McPhedran, welcome. It is great to have you here. And Senator, where are you joining us from? Oh, Senator, you muted?
Thanks very much, Terry. I'm actually in our family cottage on an island. So
On an island. All right. So we have the senator who is from an island on the mainland, and then the senator from the mainland who
on
is
an island. That's right.
There we go. Excellent. All right. Well, without any further ado, oh, you know what we will do is I would like to say a quick hello now. Now, our friends from Cengage who have helped make today possible. I didn't tell them that they were actually going to get a hello at the beginning of the event. But so whether it's going to go to Emily or Kate, I'll actually throw it over to Kate. Would you like to say hello from the team at Cengage?
Yeah, hello. My name is Kate, and I coordinate the Cengage program of Senate Youth Outreach, and really excited about this event.
Brilliant. Well, and now I see you do have Ottawa on your nameplate there. So you're joining us from Ottawa. Is that correct?
I am indeed.
Well, Ottawa is well represented. Let me tell you, as is the West, as is Eastern, and so we're right coast to coast. So welcome, friends. So this is who's here. We also have our friends who are joining us from online. Again, we love to call you out. So if you are online and you are from another place in the world, we would love to have you say hello, and then we'll kind of just say, hey, we got a tweet or we have a note on YouTube from this person who's joining us here who wants to say hello, and we'll be able to bring some of your stories in as well. So we want everybody to participate as much as we can. What we will do is try to say hello one more time from our friends in Nigeria. After that, we're going to go back to Nova Scotia. So Nova Scotia, you get ready, and we're going to get you to tell us some of the work and share with our senator friends some of what you were doing. So Nova Scotia is next, but we're going to try one more time to get a hello from our friends in Nigeria. All right, Nigeria, we did get a hello from you online. So good, and so Uchechmera, and I apologize if I didn't pronounce your name very well, but did say hello and good evening. So hello and good evening back to you. So without any further ado, let's say hello to our friends who are joining us in Nova Scotia, and let's hear about some of the amazing things they are doing. Nova Scotia, over to you.
Hi, I'm Cadence. I'm in the 6th grade at Hillcrest Academy in Shelburne, Nova Scotia. I would like to begin by acknowledging that I am in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. My town definitely wasn't affected as much as some of the others, but it's still been pretty tough. I think that the thing that I was most worried about at first was the fact that my grandparents were vacationing in Florida. I was very worried that they might not be able to come back to Canada or that they might catch the coronavirus. Thankfully, they were able to come home before the borders closed. Another thing that worried me was all of the end of the year activities getting canceled. As a grade 6 student, I am missing out on my last field day, the grade 6 dance and graduation. I'm also missing out on my annual Highland dance recital and many events with Girl Guides. I also won't be able to say goodbye to my school and some of my friends that are transferring to other schools. In addition to my concerns, one of my experiences with COVID-19 has been online school. At first, it was only for a couple of weeks, but now school has been canceled for the rest of the year. Due to the cancellation, I have to do online school for the rest of the school year. Online school is very different for me from regular school because I find it too quiet and I miss the social aspects. I miss getting to hang out with my friends every day. However, I am still keeping in touch with my closest friends through text. Being at home during the pandemic hasn't all been bad. I've been able to spend more time doing things I like, such as drawing, skateboarding, and gardening. I also helped build a fire pit and did some community cleanup. Another positive is that all of my friends and family are COVID-free. I'm looking forward to seeing Nova Scotia reopen and getting to see my family and friends.
Brilliant, Cadence. Thank you so much for sharing and for sharing the experience that you've gone through. And being in grade 6, we have some high school students here. We have some elementary students who are here. Let's actually do exactly that. So Shannon and Otto said, great job, Cadence. I want to say great job. Let's have a round of applause for Cadence. Great, thank you, Cadence. And now let's stick with our senator friends on the East Coast. Senator Wells, Do you have any feedback for this young woman a young lady who's engaging and great concern for her grandparents? I think many of us are feeling the same. But Senator Wells, over to you.
Well, Terry, you're absolutely right. And Cadence, I hear you loud and clear. People have been greatly affected by this, and all those changes came on all of a sudden. We weren't really prepared to not be able to visit our friends, to not physically be in school, to not do all the things, going on hikes or walks or going, to the shops or restaurants. All of this really came all of a sudden. We saw it at a distance when it was in China and when it started to move, but we didn't know it would affect even our smallest communities like St. John's and like Shelburne. So, I think it's a real credit, especially to the younger people who have shown they can adapt so quickly, spending, time like we're doing here on Zoom, or helping out to the degree that it's safe. People that are less able to go out and help themselves. I know in St. John's, I did a lot of grocery shopping for elderly people, and I think that happens across not just across our country but around the world. People pitching in and helping where they can. So you're absolutely right to be able to adapt so quickly to a health crisis that's so severe. Really, it's a real credit, not just to the spirit that we as Canadians have, but to the attitude that especially young people have to take on any task that's put in front of them, and come out better people for it.
Great, thank you, Senator Wells, and thank you, Cadence, for sharing. Cadence, I noticed that that one of your pictures shared seems to be from you is it Girl Guides? I'm wondering if are you able to continue to connect to your friends who are in Girl Guides, and to that other community of friends that you have? Are you using some online tools to do that? How are you connecting to your friends and to your community outside of maybe outside of your family?
I'm mostly just using text.
Okay. Cool. Go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
I've tried to FaceTime them, but like we can't go online at the same time. It's kind of hard.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah, I can imagine that. Again, access to technology isn't something that is necessarily easy to do. And so, so great work. Thank you so much for sharing, Cadence. It's great to hear that Nova Scotia has people such as yourselves who are doing such good work. All right. So let's hop on back now, and we're gonna go. I'm not sure if this is actually further to the east. I apologize, my geography of the East Coast. Whether we're going east or just north. So let's say hello to our friends in New Brunswick, and we're gonna pass the microphone over to Eli, and tell us about what's going on in your experience, Eli. What you're doing in the midst of the COVID reality, and in your community. So Eli, over to you.
So poor Eli, he's stuck here with his school principal in COVID-19 quarantine. I'm actually his dad and his principal. So my name's Nick Mattel. This is my son Eli. He's in grade 4, and we actually have 2 of our teachers that are joining us on the call today, Vanessa Purdy-Gillis and Vanessa Poirier-LeBlanc. And one of the things that we've really focused on at our school is creating a maker environment and focusing on sustainable development goals. And the cool part about, unfortunately, a pandemic like this is that it creates innovation, and sometimes the hardest times create the most innovative and creative sense for these kids. So Eli and a lot of the kids from our school have taken on the COVID-19 challenges that we've given the kids, everything from thinking about food security, redesigning PPE masks, using 3D printers, and also thinking about sustainable and secure housing. So Eli's going to be introduced by his teacher here, Madame Purdy-Gillis, and she's going to talk about some of the Genius Hour stuff that her kids did focused on the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Thanks, Nick. So as he mentioned, we've been working on sustainability in our school, and with schools closing so abruptly, it was great that the kids kept working on their Genius Hour projects. For example, one project was about the effects of plastic pollution on sea turtles, which focuses on life below water. And Eli has been so great and has kept working on his projects at home. And he's shown me what he's been doing, and it's just amazing to see what he's been able to come up with. So I'm going to let Eli tell us all about it.
I have made a village powered by a wind turbine and heated by a geothermal extraction unit. The reason I have made these to power the village is because we need to start using green energy if we don't want our world to just become the biggest garbage dump. And
so one of the other projects that Eli did, and this you'll see on the screen there, that's actually one of his friends' projects. And all the kids had to pick a sustainable development goal that was of interest to them. So this young lady and her partner, they picked life below water and focused on plastic and sea turtles. Eli and his friends, they focused on climate action and sustainable development in terms of that. And then the one that kind of means the most to us right now is Eli is one of those innovative, creative thinkers, and I think he's going to come up with some pretty neat ideas. But in our family, my mom's been a nurse for 42 years, and she went back to work to help out in her small rural hospital in Nova Scotia. And she was telling us about her friends who were having difficulty with their ears blistering and from the ear saver or from the PPE masks that they're wearing. So we challenged our kids to come up with some sort of device, a better mask, things like that. And Eli and a whole bunch of the other kids developed their own prototypes. And the next teacher that you're going to hear from, Vanessa Purdy-Gillis, she's actually put her 3D printer to work. And I'm not sure if you're able to see them here, but these are some of the over 900 masks, ear savers for masks that Eli and the other kids in our neighborhood have been able to distribute to prison guards, first responders, nurses, and we've mailed them all over New Brunswick, all over Nova Scotia. And it's pretty exciting to see how a little piece of plastic can make a difference for so many different people.
That is incredible. Now we're going to have to be, just because of the time constraint that we're doing, we'll hopefully have a chance to come back to this teacher again later to share about some of the work that they're doing. But that is amazing. Senator McPhedran, I'm going to pass over to you to give this young man and this teacher and principal some feedback on the work that they're doing. But I'm telling you, I am feeling inspired. I've worn some of those masks, and I know exactly it. And I've only worn them for an hour or two at a time. I can't imagine what that would be like to wear it all day long. So we're going across. Senator McPhedran, can you give our young man and his community some feedback? And we just got to make sure that we're unmuted first, and then you'll be good to go.
Eli, thank you so much for sharing what you did. It is really a very exciting experience for me to hear the kind of creativity and sensitivity that you and other students and your teachers are bringing to respond to the people that are on the front lines and that are risking their lives day in and day out, including your grandma. And to be able to take such action, and I really found with what Cadence was telling us as well, it's very similar, where, arguably you could be sitting somewhere in a corner playing video games all day, and instead your mind, your creativity is helping others. And I really feel that this is the kind of inspiration that we also need in the Senate. When the Prime Minister Trudeau called me, I asked him why he was recommending me for the Senate. And he asked me what my priorities were. And I said, I want to bring the Senate to the youth of Canada and youth to the Senate. And this is a wonderful way of doing that. So thank you, Cadence. Thank you, Eli. It's really a pleasure. I look forward to hearing from everybody else.
Amen. Boys, the East Coast represents. Well done. Eli, how have you found being at home and doing some of these projects? I know we have some young people who are at home doing math worksheets, but it doesn't sound like this is something that you're spending your time doing. Eli, how's it been for you back home going to school and doing this type of work?
Well, I've been doing 2 Genius Hour projects. This is the second one.
So he's also a Star Wars fan.
Oh, well, you are in good company, sir.
It's an X-wing that is powered by solar panels. Because TIE fighters have solar panels, why don't X-wings?
Amen. That sounds like a great project. That is a great Genius Hour project. X-Wings. Good times. Solar powers. If we don't just need them on homes, we'll have them on spaceships. All right. So, friends, let's go now, make our way a bit further west. And we are going to hear from, joining us from Ottawa, the team at Ashbury College, who is doing some great work that's there, Rebecca and Danish. Ashbury College in Ottawa, over to you.
Hi, everyone. So firstly, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. So first of all, I would like to be talking about our International Day. So our school prides itself with having over 100 boarding students and over 60 different countries represented. Every school year, my school holds an International Day to celebrate multiculturalism and our school's diversity. It's run by over 30 World Affairs Club members and Internationalism Committee members. So International Day usually allows students to participate in cultural fashion shows, performances, international food booths, and discussion groups. You also have a keynote speech or a panel of speakers, but often the food booths are the fan favorites. This year's theme was polarization and pluralism, where we had a focus on the role the media plays and how it either divides or unifies people. Due to COVID-19, we were forced to make International Day virtual. So virtually, we were able to send out recipes, international film recommendations, international music playlists, and still hold online discussion groups. And we worked very hard to adapt to a virtual system.
Yeah, and I just wanted to talk about a second project that both Donish and I were working on earlier this year as part of our school's Green Club. So it's very similar to an environmental club, if any of you have them at your schools or are aware of things like that. But we were planning a tree planting for our community where we had about 50 student volunteers who are going to be planting 200 trees to make our community more sustainable and more environmentally friendly. And obviously, with 50 student volunteers, it was a bit difficult to do that under the circumstances of COVID-19. So we did have to postpone it to next spring specifically. But we are trying to make the best of the situation. And even though we did have to postpone this one event, we are still trying to keep our school community engaged environmentally, especially by sending out weekly eco updates, which have a couple of news headlines so that people can stay aware of what's going on environmentally, but also a couple of tips of what people can be doing at home to make sure that they're remaining sustainable even if they are at home all day.
Brilliant. I love this cross-section of the arts, of getting out and into nature and making those connections. Senator Wells, you have spent quite a bit of time in nature, not just in Canada, but all across the country. Do you have any feedback for these amazing young people?
Well, you know what? It's the terrific thing that you're doing with respect to the program of tree planting. You know, Ottawa's a beautiful city, many trees. St. John's is a beautiful city with many trees. And while you didn't get a chance to do it this year, I'm sure you'll get a chance to do it next year, or maybe even later this year when it is the right time to be out in public with your friends, and also the right time to plant trees. But I think what you're doing, and even with Danish in discussion about the media and the media's role, it's, and you may have heard it before, and I've heard it many times, to think globally and act locally, because the things that you do for your own neighborhood and for your own town and city it benefits the country, it benefits the world. So as you do these, and some might think of them as small gestures, they're actually very important gestures, because other people see you doing that and they become inspired by it. And most of the time, Rebecca, you don't even know that you're an inspiration for other people. And so I would say keep doing those things on a local scale, because they're important. They're important as setting an example for other people. They also make you feel good as well, and as a full contributor to not just your community, but your city and your province and your country. Now, on the question of media, where your particular area that you were looking at, the media is so important these days, but it's really changed. When I was your age, we could not choose the media that we listened to. So if we had, a couple of local newspapers, a couple of local TV stations, and a couple of local radio stations, and that was what we had. Now there are thousands and thousands of media outlets in the world, and you get to choose what you listen to. So that's an important consideration. That, think about it today. If there were only 2 TV stations in Ottawa, that'd be crazy. We have 500, and that's what we're used to. And we're used to the internet and Twitter feeds and Facebook and all the things, Instagram. So there's, you have a lot of those inputs coming at you, but you get to choose what you're to follow, what you're interested in. And that's a really important consideration. So if you have a particular interest in the environment or politics or sport, you get to hone in on that. But my advice, if I'm to give any, is to make sure you hear other points of view as well, not just the ones that you subscribe to. Make sure you broaden how you think and how you receive information about your community and about your city and about your province.
I think that's so very true, is that we do need to be so aware of the multiple voices and the need for us to not find ourselves in an echo chamber, but look for opportunities to hear different perspectives and help educate people in our communities around those. So let's, as we continue to have many voices and have voices that represent different regions, we're going to jump from central Canada across here to the west. And let's hear from our friends at West Island College in Calgary. West Island, over to you.
Hi, my name is Vishva Pooranalingam, and I'm a grade 9 student at West Island College, which is located in Calgary. Now, before I begin my talk, I would like to firstly take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, as well as the city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. So a bit about myself is that I'm passionate about social and political issues, and in terms of extracurricular activities, I swim and play basketball competitively, I volunteer at my local rec center, and finally, I play piano and saxophone. So transitioning to online school hasn't been particularly hard for me. As a student, I'm very lucky to be able to easily access various tools to help me succeed, such as computers and internet access. Though, considering the global economic situation with thousands of people laid off of work, isolation can be extremely tough, especially for students in other parts of the world. Even here in Canada, up to 6% of families don't have access to high-speed internet, which is crucial for learning applications such as Zoom and Google Hangouts. As an individual, I believe firmly that education should be a basic human right and not a privilege, though evidently this pandemic has made this hard to attain. Now, despite all these negative things that are happening right now, I've been trying to stay positive as I can. I'm keeping busy by playing sports as much as possible as a means of staying active while physically distancing. Staying connected with friends and helping people who are close to me in my life, also by checking in on them and catching up, which inadvertently makes me feel better knowing that I'm helping others. Now, to be honest, staying positive during this difficult time hasn't been too tough for me. I'm lucky that I come from a stable home environment, have supportive teachers and friends who make me feel that we can get through this together. I'm grateful for this. However, I'm reminded that for 9% of Canadian kids living in unstable homes, having a healthy mindset and a positive outlook can be challenging. Self-isolation can create a pressure cooker situation, making it very tough to access these essential services. So over the past few months, I've actually unfortunately seen this exact scenario play out, where some of my friends clearly need emotional help but can't do anything about it. As a Canadian citizen, I strongly believe that if we're going to continue to be successful, we need to empower the whole of society. Finally, as a closing remark, I would like to ask the senators a question. Due to the fact that a second wave of coronavirus is expected, how will the Canadian government help students and society get ahead of the curve and put measures in place for us to successfully face this challenge together?
All right. Vishva, not only is there great work that you're doing that I'm sure that the senators would love to give feedback on, but you're holding some feet to the fire of our government as well. So Senator and now Senator McPhedran, who is used to empowering young people and bringing forth their voices and making sure that they're heard, as also a representative of the West, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you very much, Terry. Now, I just can't resist. I have to observe something here. Ontario is not central Canada. Geographically, Winnipeg and Manitoba are the center of Canada. So what I will respond, Vishva, to your question. I think it's a very important question, and I think it's actually complex. Because as I'm sure you know from your studies of the Canadian Constitution and Canadian government, the health is primarily a responsibility of provinces, and that is defined constitutionally. So the well-being of young people and all people in Canada is a shared responsibility, and there are some legal challenges to being able to have our governments share and stay on track for what's best for Canadians. And it's the kind of question that you're asking and the ongoing questioning of parliamentarians that is a really important part of helping governments be better and more responsive to the needs of people in their daily lives. It's not something that parliamentarians always have done that well, and it's even more challenging at this time of COVID-19. I also want to take this chance when I'm speaking to be able to say thank you, merci miigwech, to each student that started with acknowledging that we are on the lands of the First Nations peoples in our country. And when Rebecca talked about trees, it made me think of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Senator Wells talked about St. John's having lots of trees and Shelburne having lots of trees. Well, the tree planting that you're talking about is so important, and you see it in Winnipeg because we have these magnificent, old, majestic Dutch elm trees, and street after street after street of the city, they're having to cut them down, and there's nothing there. There's nothing to take their place because tree planting didn't happen thinking ahead. And it's a bit like COVID-19. You know, we really don't live our lives anticipating a disease that is going to change everything. And that's a similar thing that's happened to the city of Winnipeg. Dutch elm disease is devastating the urban forest. So the kind of forward thinking that the Sustainable Development Goals allow each of us, if when we use the Sustainable Development Goals as our filter, as our lens, it's exactly that kind of looking ahead and also looking at the results. And that's one of the points that, Vishva, that you've raised, is that we can talk about general well-being, we can talk about good ideas, but if we don't pay attention to what people are actually living each day and the way in which the results of policies and programs and opportunities can be very different for people. We cannot assume that going in because we've got a good idea, that that's going to spread evenly and in a positive way for everybody in our society. So that's also part of your question that you've asked myself and Senator Wells, and that is what are parliamentarians doing? What can governments do in order to respond to the particular situation of young people? And I want to be as honest as I can with you and say I see real limitations in terms of what parliamentarians can do. And one of the main reasons for that is because young people are generally situated under adult control within their respective families. Then they're situated within other adult control in terms of their schooling. Their communities, their cities, their towns have governments there, and then their provinces have governments. And so for those of us who work at the federal level, it really speaks so strongly for the need for us not to be partisan, for us to think about ways in which we can work together across various barriers and differences and focus on what it is that is needed in our country for young people and all people in our country. And it's not the same thing for everyone. So this is a time where we really have to put our differences aside and focus on what it is the people of our country need.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Senator Wells, I know that you'd like to respond, but what I will ask is I will have you respond to our next student as time is limited. And we're going to invite that student who is also from Calgary and from Robert Thirsk High School to share some of the work and what COVID is looking like in their community. So Chloe at Robert Thirsk, over to you.
Hi, my name is Chloe, and I would first like to start by also acknowledging the land. So I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Blackfoot and the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. This city is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. So during this time of COVID, my school has adopted an idea of which thought to bring our community together, and we called this Seed Kits. Over 20 schools have participated, and close to 1,500 seed kits have been handed out so far. We were able to get these seed kits by obtaining a grant from Canadian Conservation Corps, and it has been amazing to see the positive feedback we've gotten from it. So I have an example. These are the seed kits. You get some tomatoes and 5 packages of seeds that you are able to then plant in your garden and have some fun with. So although the students took kind of lead on this project, we definitely couldn't have done it without our teachers. Most of our teachers are, or not most, but some of our teachers are still at our school, kind of managing the place, and it has been great to see how much help they've given us. So thank you, teachers. As well as at my school, I had applied for a grant from Taking It Global and received it. And with the help of my teacher, Mr. Lake, we obtained something called a living desk. So this desk, the idea of this desk, although still in a work of progress, is to bring the nature aspect into a living classroom. As I realized through my 11 years of school, many classrooms are gray and brown and kind of neutral colors, and they don't really bring a sense of life. And so I thought of a way to bring that nature, the plants, into a classroom and it to be functional. And so as you can see in the photo, this is my teacher's desk. And although work has stopped due to the fact that I'm home because of COVID and my teacher is at school, I'm very excited for when I get back to school to be able to plant some greens, and there's a fish tank in there, so get some life going in that too.
Oh, I'm sorry, just a second. Chloe, did you just say that your teacher's desk has a fish tank in it?
Yeah, that's my teacher right down at the bottom, Mr. Warren Lake. It's an amazing desk. I couldn't have asked for anything better. The guy that built it, his name is Jonathan Luckhurst, and he's from the company Sea to Sky Botanics, and he was thrilled to be making this desk for us.
So cool. Senator Wells, how about that? Now, does the Senate get desks with fish tanks in them as well?
Let me look. No, we don't. But it's a great idea. Well done, Chloe. That's it seems like you've really you and your friends and the teachers and the administrators that look after the school have really gone a long way to make it a good working environment for you, a good learning environment. When I went to school many years ago, you're right. The classrooms were pretty dull. You know, concrete, cinder block. Blinds on the windows, so the kids wouldn't spend all their time looking outside, which I think is an important part of a good environment for schooling. But you know, I have to say, one of the most fun things that we did when we were kids, if it was a real nice day, our teacher would take the class and we'd go out on the embankment or on the grass and have our class out there, and it was always so much fun because it was a treat just to get outside and be in a different environment to learn. Sometimes we'd go on field trips. There was a river near our school, so we'd do a river walk. Sometimes we'd take bags and pick up any trash that we saw. So you know what, having a dynamic work, when I say work, school, learning, anything like that, having a dynamic work environment is really important. In my office, let's see if I can do this. I've got pictures of my my hometown. I've got some really nice older pieces of art that depict scenes from Canada, some photos of my family and some of the neat things that I've done. So having an environment where you can learn, and I'll say learn because I learn every day here in the Senate. So having an environment that's comfortable, where it's just so conducive to learning, is so important. And you're doing that right there in Calgary. So congratulations to you and to everyone who does that. And to everyone who doesn't do it, think about doing it. You know, we learn something every day, and this is what we've learned from you today, Chloe.
Thank you so much.
So powerful. And Chloe, oh, sorry, you were going to say something, Chloe?
Oh, I just said thank you so much. I loved hearing your words.
And I love, Senator, your talk about that art that you have on the wall. Chloe is a background. You have a piece of art right there. So well done. All right, my team is saying that time is tight. Let's hop across to our friends in Burnaby, because we do want to have, just so everyone knows, Senators, we're going to give you a chance after the young people to share, to say a couple words about your community and about and the work that you're doing, and words of inspiration for the young people. And if we have time, we'll still open it for questions. But as you can see from the slide, I'm going to pass it over to our friends in Burnaby, British Columbia. Over to you.
So my name is Adam, and I'm a grade 12 student graduating from Burnaby, BC, which is just outside of Vancouver.
Hi, I'm also a senior graduating student, so I'm also from Burnaby. So we come from Burnaby South Secondary School.
So we wanted to start by acknowledging and thanking the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish, whose traditional territories we teach, learn, and live on. And we want to talk about some of the things that are happening in our school and on our community. So the first thing that we want to talk about was the COVID collage artwork campaign that's happening through art students at Burnaby South Secondary. So this artwork was inspired by the current pandemic, and grade 8 to 12 students at our school drew all of these pictures that you see here. So they kind of depict how we're isolated at home and our concerns regarding the pandemic, the new realities of Zoom calls, the era of misinformation, and worrying fears of sickness.
Okay.
And the next
moving on. So I'm here to present the COVID food program. So a club in South called the We Council tried to raise money to supply meals to students who's part of our Rebels food program. So 1 in 5 students in British Columbia are actually living in poverty. So school, and this is clearly evident in our school. School is not just a place of learning, but of nourishment. And when schools close down, students rise to support one another. So we were able to raise over $5,000 to serve meals to our fellow students.
Another program that's happening at Burnaby South is our music department. They started a virtual symphony program. And so this connected the students in the music department to share their talents online and to give people something to appreciate from their home and to lift their spirit up.
So I present a project of mine, which is the Burnaby South Homework Support. So basically, kids who are affected by COVID-19, we are here to provide reliable information about COVID-19, answer academic questions, and school updates. So there's the Instagram page.
Cool. And so one organization that I lead is the Burnaby Youth Sustainability Network. And so some of the things that we've been doing is giving sustainable lifestyle tips on our social media pages. And so one more thing that's what we have been up to is graduation. So both of us are graduating from school, and a big question of focus, like in our lives right now, is what is our graduation and what is our post-secondary future going to look like?
So I currently lead the grad council. So basically, we have this Grow Yourself program where basically our purpose was to raise senior graduation spirit in spite the school canceling major graduation events. So I share some of their submissions. So there are some drawings over there. Yeah, so basically students just drew themselves.
Super. Well, and I know that there is amazing work that you are doing, and we could spend a whole ton of time hearing about the great work that our schools are continuing to have. McPhedran, Senator McPhedran, are you able to? We just have a few minutes left, and we still want to hop over to Nigeria if possible. Can you give these young people a little bit of feedback and some of the amazing work that they're doing?
I'll give feedback that's very direct, but mostly I will say bravo and brava. Thank you. It's so inspiring. And in the little bit of time I have, I would like all of you to think about getting ready to vote when you're 16 in Canada. As soon as it's possible, I will be introducing a bill on this in the Senate. It will have to move through the Senate and go to the House of Commons. If you're 15, if you're 16, if you're 14, my youth advisory group starts at age 15. And I would so love to hear from you if you'd like to become a mobilizer in your local community in order to work towards 16-year-olds being able to vote in federal elections in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator McPhedran, and thank you to our friends in Burnaby. We're going to give we have 5 minutes left. We're going to see if we can hop across to our friends in Nigeria. I know that they're online and we can see them, and we're hoping that we can, Uchechimere, that we can, and Joseph, that you can tell us about the work that you're doing, and then after that, we're going to pass it over to Senator Wells and Senator McPhedran for a final word before we wrap up our event. So to our friends in Nigeria, our fingers are crossed. Can we hear you? Go ahead if you can. Oh, goodness. We might just need to, this is what we're going to do. Uchechimere and Joseph, unfortunately, we can't hear you right now, and the internet can sometimes be like that. We'd love for you to, we will share everybody the stories of the work that you have done. Can we just throw some pictures up that we have there very quickly? And then we're going to go over here to Senator Wells to wrap up the event for today. But you can see we have a picture of their school assembly and the communities that they're living in, and some pictures of their classrooms that they're going to school in. And I'm sure that depending where they're at with the virus, they may not be finding the classrooms as we are. And then the last picture that we have is some of the work that they're doing, and knowing that we have young people who are doing great work. Doesn't matter what continent they're in or what language they're speaking. We have young people who are doing great work. So thank you, Nigeria, for being here. And I'm sorry that we weren't able to hear. Senator Wells, do you have any parting words for these young people across the planet before we go for today? Over to you.
Well, I sure do. First of all, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Senator McPhedran in particular. We haven't been sitting in the chamber at the same time for quite a while. I plan to get to Winnipeg very soon. My wife is from Winnipeg, so it's a city that I also consider as one of the places that I really like and feel comfortable in. Look, students and kids, everyone, teachers who are on the line here as well, keep doing what you're doing. You guys and girls have become leaders among your friends, among the school groups that you're part of, among your communities. This is what Canada needs, and this is what builds a stronger Canada for the future. Keep doing what you're doing. Be smart about it. Engage other people, because you can't do it alone. People will follow great leaders. And I see on my screen here and through the words that you've spoken, you are leaders. And I really appreciate, Senator McPhedran and I really appreciate the work that you do for your community, for your towns, for your friends. become expert in something, and then push that out. Show other people what you can do and teach them to do it as well. So I want to thank everyone for bringing the vision and bringing the great spirit that you've brought to this discussion, and that you bring to your friends and your family and your community every day.
Great, thank you so very much, Senator Wells, for sharing your time and your insight. We very much appreciate you being with us today. Senator McPhedran, do you have any closing words before we bid everybody adieu?
Very shortly, because I know we're about to sign off. What we're doing here is demonstrating global citizenship. And I'm so happy to look behind you, Terry, and see Taking IT Global, such an important partnership. And to say to everybody on this line, we are connected. You've shown us all the ways in which you keep reaching out, no matter the challenges. I think we can expect to continue to be challenged by COVID-19 for quite some time. And it's your creativity, your tenacity, and just your goodness that is going to make it possible for us to get through this and be a stronger democracy. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so very much, Senator McPhedran, for joining us and for sharing your insight. I want to say a huge thank you to all of the teachers who are there, who are continuing to educate and reach out and put in countless hours to keep our students engaged in some of the amazing work that we have going on. To our young people, as I don't have anything additional to say from what the senators have already spoken to. Friends, I do want to say a huge thank you to the team at Cengage, who truly has a vision for engaging young people in classrooms in the work that our Canadian Senate is doing. I think it's very fitting that we're coming together as a country representing the different regions, and that's exactly what the Senate does, right? The Senate brings the voices of each of the regions together equally and make sure that their voices are heard as your voice is being heard today. And so Cengage, thank you for your vision for youth engagement and for the work that you're doing. And teachers, go online, take a look at the resources that they have. They really are incredible. And even at a time like now, to be able to check those resources out and incorporate them into your instruction, I think that the opportunity is there. So without any further ado, I would like to bid everybody au revoir, à bientôt. We will see you soon. Continue the amazing work that you are doing, and we will hear from you all again soon. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Nicely done, all. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lake. Good to see you again, sir.